This week on the UK Brewery Project, we're up in the Western Isles at the Isle of Skye Brewery. The Isle of Skye Brewery was founded by teachers Angus McRury and Stephen Tinney, and I apologise if I've mispronounced anyone's name straight away. According to their website, one evening in 1992, they're out drinking with some fellow teaching friends in a local pub on Skye, and their conversation turned to the lack of good beer on the island. Someone jokingly suggested that the only way to fix the issue would be set up their own brewery. Well, the two teachers worked towards this vision, and in April 1995, the brewery was founded at the Ferry Pier in Uig, which again, I pronounce that incorrectly. I do apologise. This was the first commercial brewery in Skye and the whole of the Western Isles. The brewery was operating part-time as the two were still in full-time employment in their teaching jobs. Their first production run was in December 1995, and that first beer was called Red Cullin, which is a Scottish ale or red ale. The beer is still produced to this day, but after a rebrand in 2014, it became known as Skye Red. And I think what more fitting than, as always, nothing better than opening the first brew first beer a brewery is supposed to have made. Lovely bit of smoke coming off there. Gonna put this into my glass. Sorry for the cut there, just had to pour the rest of the beer in the head of it, was developing a bit too much on there. Bad pour from me. If I hold this beer up, I'm getting a lovely red hue coming off it, which looks beautiful for this style of beer. Nose, getting froth right on me. Again, malty. That's sort of what I'm expecting for a red ale. You're getting that malt notes on the nose. Right, let's tuck in and try the beer. Oh, there's a lot of bitterness in that actually. I wasn't expecting that. Roasted malts and bitterness on there. I wasn't expecting it. It's not as clean and sessionable as I was perhaps expecting. I'll reserve judgment for the moment on this one. Let me try a bit more and see how I feel as it goes through. Just to say, so the original name for this beer, Red Cullin, was given after the sunset striking nearby mountains. But obviously rebrand. They call everything as it is now. I'm getting a bit of nutty flavour coming through. A bit of roastedness, roasted malt, a bit of nut. I think I've just got to adjust my palate to it because I was expecting something slightly different than that, but that's just my expectations. I shouldn't have expectations. Right, so towards the end of 1996, Stephen sold his share of the brewery to Angus and left the business. In 1997, the brewery won CAMRA's Champion Beer of Scotland, and as we know if you've watched the previous episodes in this series, that increased demand for their beers substantially. So much so, in fact, that in 1998, Angus left his job as principal teacher of business studies and economics at Portree High School to focus on the brewery full time. Try and remember the job title there. The same year, the brewery installed its own bottling facilities and became a limited company. It's worthwhile mentioning a few other people at this stage that were involved in the brewery. In particular, Eric Jones, who was a friend of Stephen's, had helped the two school teachers in setting up the brewery from 1993 onwards. After Stephen left the business, he became more involved in the brewery itself. Eric's sister Pam was working on the island as a chef, and she was helping out at the brewery, cleaning tanks, filling casks, and also driving deliveries. While she was doing that, she was also learning brewing on the job, and she went on to become the head brewer for the Isle of Skye Brewery towards the end of the 90s. Now, one question mark, I'm not sure if they met on the job or beforehand, but Angus and Pam ended up tying a knot, and of course, as a brewer and having your own brewery, they produced their own special beer to celebrate their wedding. What better reason really in that stage if you got access to that? So Pam's now head brewer, Angus is sole owner, and demand for the brewery's beers are outstripping the brewery's capacity, and they've outsourced some brewing and bottling to Belhaven, owned by Green King, in Dunbar. So Belhaven, the Belhaven brewed beer was for the supermarkets and also the grow and export market that included countries such as Japan, Canada, the USA and some European countries. Whilst the bottles sold in the Western Highlands, or just Highlands in general, and of course the cask beer, all came from the Isle of Skye Brewery. Let's go back and try. Okay, I've adapted a bit. There's not that bitterness as much as I originally said. I should say acclimatised. The water is, the actual water that's being used in this is really good. You can feel how smooth and soft that is. That is beautiful. There's definitely a nuttiness coming through. It's feeling, as say, along the lines of a bitter, probably at this stage, a red-hued bitter, like an extra special bitter of sorts. It feels like. We skip forward. We hit the 2000s. So during 2001, they had a new brew house and a grain loft built to increase capacity. At this stage, the brewery was producing around 30 barrels a week, which is just over 8,500 pints. By 2003, they had finished another extension, which doubled the capacity to 60 barrels a week, which is 17,000 pints. Huge numbers, huge numbers. The brewery continues to trade well over the next decade, with the next moment of interest really occurring in 2012. But before we perhaps cover that, let's crack open another beer of theirs. Now, there's one beer, I think I've had some on before, Untapped and all the rest. I've had some of their beers, including the red and I think the gold. I've had them on cask up in the Highlands. But I've had, when my pack came through that I ordered from them, I had and I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, I had the Tarasiga, which is a beautiful smoked beer. Wow. If you're not in smoked beers, don't touch it, but that's beautiful beer. But there's one thing on my mind that I bought, and I bought 2 bottles of it. I've got one here. It is the Cullen Beast. Oh yes. And I'm going to open the Beast. And while I open the Beast, I'm actually going to move these all over a little bit to give me a bit more space. That'd be clever, wouldn't it? Not sure if they're all in camera. So that's the Cullen Beast, which comes in at 7%. It's in a 330ml bottle. And let's pour. I'm going to pour it all out because it would look stupid in a pint glass otherwise. Let's put it on the side here. There we go. It's very, very clear. So it's a filtered beer. Very clear. Nice little head on top. Malty again. Definitely malty. Just looking, got everything there. Yep. definitely malt coming off it. It's reminding me a bit of Wherry's, not nutcracker, the head cracker from Wherry on the nose. Right, let's tuck in and try. Ooh, nice sweetness to it as well. Oh wow, okay. So perhaps I am going to move the bottle back over here. Great for some proof for me to put it there. Show off my logo a bit on that glass. So this beer is officially listed as, I think, a wee heavy, as they would call it in Scotland. And it was introduced in 2011 and it won Camera Champion Beer of Scotland. And it's also currently their highest rated beer on Untapped. And that's why I've sort of cracked it open, not because it's the highest beer ABV they've got. Although pricing wise it was, I know it's 330ml, but compared to the other 330mls it was only a few pence like more, impressively. That is nice. It's got a nice balance with the sweetness in there. That's what's really good. So I'm not actually getting the ABV, and sometimes what you can get is it's over sweet or it's not sweet and you're just getting a malt coming through, but that is nicely balanced. Right, picking back up where we were, so we've reached 2011 release of this. 2012 is an interesting year. So towards the end of 2012, an agreement was reached to merge the Isle of Skye Brewery with the Isle of Arran Brewery, which would create a company with a turnover of £1.2 million that produced 500,000 litre of beer a year. Huge numbers. Looking at it, although a merger, it would result in Arran Brewery having a majority control and with Angus retiring. Strangely, Arran Brewery were stating their intentions to raise, I think, 10 million over the following 3 years, using a format similar to sort of Brewdog's equity for punks. But in Feb 2013, Arran Brewery put its expansion plans on hold after failing to secure a £1 million Scottish Government grant, as the government said they didn't meet the criteria. With this announcement, the merger was suspended and then dropped, particularly as Arran stated Arran Brewery only make about 6p profit on every bottle they sold, and they paid 24p duty a bottle at that stage. But once they moved to making 500,000 litres, easy way to think of it, and bottle terms would be 1 million bottles a year, the duty doubled to 49p a bottle. Duty doubled to 49p, but I think I said that wrong. Which, if you look at it, is clearly not covered by the 6p profits. And so they based their calculations on getting this government grant to have a more efficient brewing and bottling process. Because they didn't get that, there was no way they could actually go ahead with the merger. So the merger fell through. Though the merger failed, the company was still to change ownership though. Kenny Webster purchased the brewery and its operations from Angus. However, Angus remained on as the operations manager. Following on from this, the Isle of Skye opened up a crowdfunding project in 2014 aiming to raise about £150,000, some of which was to go towards creating a visitor centre. And according to the filings, it states that the turnover in 2014 was predicted to be £800,000, which was up 28% from their 2013 amount. Looking at this certainly makes the 1.2 million Arran Brewery forecast seem very achievable. The aim of crowdfunding was to get small sums from a large number of people and offer them rewards and discounts on the brewery's projects, i.e. creating that bit of loyalty at that stage. The expectation was to double their 800,000 to 1.5 million by 2017. They had also managed to obtain grants and funds to expand the brewery to better meet their export market, and they aim to make exports 20% of their production by 2017. Now, that is a big number, but I know that beers such as the Cullen Beast and a few of their other heavy hitters, let's just say, were big sellers in the US and Canada, and some of the other beers were, big sellers around Europe. In 2014, the brewery began rebranding, and they created this new, clean, sleek labelling you see on the bottles here right now, along with renaming some of the beers. So, as said, they renamed this to Skye Red. The annual production at stage was about 250,000 litres, which is 440,000 pints. And then, that was the rebrand that was instigated, as I say, by the new owner. In March 2015, after 23 years working on his vision of the Isle of Skye Brewery, Angus retired, deservedly, at that stage. Over the next few years, the brewery had a new head brewer, and they continued to increase output, and their sales had increased to 1.35 million by 2018, which isn't quite near the 1.5 million they were anticipating from the year before, but that's a very good measure to move from where they were to there. And the brewery employed about 15 staff members. In 2019, Skye Brewery purchased Black Wolf Brewery Limited and its beer brands from the company that I can't remember, WC10 or something, that owned it. So Black Wolf Brewery is based on the mainland near Stirling, and the idea was that both breweries would continue to be brewing their own beers and remain separate, whilst Black Wolf and their bottling facilities now allowed them to bring their bottling back in-house for the Isle of Skye Brewery, rather than going out to Glasgow or elsewhere for their bottling. They would be able to go to where they owned to bottle. This merger brought the staff numbers up to 21, so there were 6 from the Wolf Brewery that they brought in. Bottling your own beers saves you money, and Wolf had contract bottling for a few other breweries as well at that stage. In December 2019, Skye launched their Skye Gin, which had actually been in the work for 3 years, they said. They had spent time working out, obviously, the recipe and the flavours to add to their gin to make it distinctive. And I think that brings us up to date. So at this stage, let's have a look at their beers and see what are the core beers that they offer. So we start with the one that I'm drinking here right now, the Red. It's a 4.2% red ale. So I feel it's definitely verging on a bitter, but the more I'm drinking it, the more I'm getting that red ale notes more than bitter, but that's palate adjusting at that stage. We also have the 4.3% gold, and then we have the black, which is a 4.5% dark ale. We have Blevin, which is a 4.7% golden ale that originally started in 1996 as a winter seasonal. We then go on to what I mentioned before, the Tarasiga, I don't know, yeah. It's a 4% smoked beer, and I said, that is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's not for all tastes because it is a smoked beer, but I do apologise, the camera once again overheating there and stopping. Yeah, so I said the smoked beer. What we also have is we have Yearben, which is a 5.5% extra special bitter that was made in conjunction with Tom Kitchen, who is a Michelin star chef. They also have the, I'm going crazy, blonde, next to it, which is 5.5%. We have the Cullen Beast, which is a 7% heavy. I'm not sure if these are seasonal or core, but they also have, I say, the IPA here, which is 5%, and they have a craft lager at 4.2%, and they also have Young Pretender, which is a Scottish ale, and they have Skylight, which is a 3.8% pale, and they have Wee Beast, which is a 7% Scottish export ale. So most of their beers describe exactly what they are, as you can see: red, black, gold, blonde, whatever. Award-wise, for CAMRA's Champion Beer of Scotland in 2017, Young Pretender won bronze in the overall category. In 2011, Cullen Beast won gold, and Black Cullen, which I don't have here, won bronze in 2005 and silver in 2003 and 2004. And these are just some among the 60 they have picked up since they first started brewing in 1995. Well, I'm going to see you out with a lovely glass of the Cullen. Oh, that's lovely. It smells great. I shall see you next time on the UK Brewery Project. Take care, everyone.